We need to lean into the limitations. You want to call yourself a competitor? You look for every limitation. You find a problem and you fall in love with that problem and you own that problem until you solve it.
Welcome in to a Growth Ready Replay, where we're going to rewind back to the fall of 2020 when I had Jesse Cole of the Savannah Bananas come and join the show back when we were called Career Competitor. Now, while the questions may have been different back then, there is no denying that the content that we discussed, as you're about to find out, covers everything around what it means to be growth ready. So sit back and relax and join me as we go all the way to the end of 2020 and welcome back into the show, Jesse Cole of the Savannah Bananas. And I hope you enjoy. First and foremost, in your all banana colored tux, man, how are you today?
I am fantastic, fired up, excited to be with you, and ready to have some fun.
Absolutely. Well, again, it's a podcast, so people can't get the visual that I'm getting right now. And just trust me, there's some video that will come out of this, but anything that we put on the show in terms of the audio simply won't do justice to Jesse's appearance today. But this is all in part to do with what you've been doing now for the better part of 4, almost 5 years. So tell everyone, Jesse, what has been the focus of your last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, well, the last 5 years, we launched a little small crazy team called the Savannah Bananas. I was actually in the industry of baseball for almost 15 years now with a little small team in North Carolina that we had for 10 years. But yeah, we took over and launched a brand new team in a market that had professional baseball for 90 years. And Steve, we're not professional baseball. We're one of the lowest levels of baseball there is.
Right.
And we knew we had to be dramatically different. So we asked ourselves, what business are we in, but what business are we really in? And learned that we had to go all in on the entertainment. And we, after some serious struggles and having to sell our house, sleep on an airbed, and down to our last dollar, we turned it into an amazing circus that now sells out every single game. It has a wait list for tickets in the thousands. And it's been a wild journey. And every day we're learning and experimenting with new things to try to create the best fan experience in sports.
Awesome. And you touched on that background there in baseball, and a big part of what we do here is try to take people that come from that background in sports and show the connections between them, the athlete, and what it is they're now doing today within whatever world they've gone into. And to get us going here, Jesse, tell everyone a little bit about your background in the sport of baseball.
Sure. And I love the word compete, by the way. And I love the fact that this is the against yourself, never competing against others. And we don't even talk about competitors. We talk about our customers and our fans. And that's something that we've learned in the industry. But from my background, I was a big competitor and competing against myself. And I was a baseball player, fortunate to get a full scholarship to play college baseball, and had the dreams of playing professional, and was fortunate. I remember vividly getting letters from the Pirates and the Padres, Braves, and even getting Christmas cards from the New York Mets with a snow-covered Shea Stadium, which was really cool. And I thought my dream was going to become a reality. And that was all I ever worked on. And then my senior year, I tore everything in my shoulder and my labrum, my rotator cuff. And I remember I was filming a documentary at the time. It was my capstone project. And I had to turn the camera on myself as I found out I would never play the game of baseball again. And I watched it just recently, and it was very emotional. And I remember thinking there, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I was saying it on camera. And now looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because instead of trying to play professional baseball for a few years and then, starting over, I got into what I was meant to do. And it was to really put on a show and entertain fans and provide a different fan experience. So that launched my career with my injury at 23 years old. I became a general manager of a baseball team. And so that's when it all started. And my competition took another level because I was taking over the worst team in the entire country, but no money in the bank account and no fans coming to the games. And that's where the competitive spirit came out to a whole nother level.
Absolutely. I can imagine. Gosh. And, one thing that has come up more than, I would ever wish to, but it is part of the athlete story is injury and adversity. And I, for one, as in my past life as an athlete, dealt with more than enough myself. And hearing that sort of story of where you were in a sport that's obviously one of the major sports where you can make a career out of it, for you to receive that sort of news and then immediately have that opportunity to move into something where you could invest yourself wholeheartedly, how fortunate would you consider yourself to be that you had that opportunity waiting for you, or not necessarily waiting for you, but available to you immediately, as opposed to maybe wallowing or trying to figure things out, if you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think two things happened at once that really gave me that opportunity. One is I got an opportunity to coach, and I coached in the Cape Cod League, and I'm sitting in the dugout as a coach with some of the top players in the country. Every single player that I coached on that team went on and played and got drafted and played in the big leagues. I mean, it was a top of the line. I mean, all-stars sat next to me, and I had the best seat in the house, and I knew these guys. And I realized something very profound then that I didn't realize till later that made the whole impact on everything. I was bored out of my mind. I had the best seat in the house with the best players in the country. And I realized something. And for many athletes that listen here, there's something about playing. We love it, but it's different about watching. All right. When you don't feel like you can make an impact, you don't feel like you can have control. I was a pitcher. I could dictate the success of a game by how well I pitched. Yeah. When I'm sitting in the dugout, I can't dictate what's going to happen. And so all of a sudden I was bored out of my mind. And so I realized right then, coaching is not for me. But then I took an internship with the team, and I realized the idea of trying to get people excited about coming to a baseball game and meeting with people in the community and saying, you know what, we're going to make this fun. This is not going to be like your grandpa's game. All of a sudden, I started selling all these tickets and sponsorship that I got offered the job as a GM at 23 years old. And that all happened within about a 6-month period that I think very, very fortunate that all happened. And I was able to see clearly what I was not supposed to do, but what I was meant to do.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. And it doesn't, and here's the funny part. I think when you hear a story like this, you think, wow, this must have been a very fortuitous set of circumstances. But I don't hear that. I hear a guy that showed what he was capable of in an environment where he would have the opportunity to truly apply himself. And I think that is something that gets lost in stories like this sometimes. Is the easy answer is to say that you were fortunate. That's the easy answer. The real answer is to say you showed what you're capable of doing. You brought to the table who you are and the way in which you want to do what it is you were being asked to do, and they recognized that.
It's fascinating. The legendary founder of Southwest Airlines, Herb Kelleher, he was asked after he started Southwest, he goes, what's your business strategy? And he thought about it for a second. He said, it's called doing things. He goes, our whole strategy is called doing things. And we believe so much with Savannah Bananas, every young person on our staff, do and then learn. I would have always assumed if I don't play baseball, I'm going to coach. But I started doing. I sat in the dugout. I started trying to coach. And then that didn't work out. I took an internship, an unpaid internship where I didn't get any money, but I started making cold calls, which sounds terrible, sales calls. But I started meeting with people and saying, you know what? I can make an impact. I can control what's going to happen at this experience to this sponsor, to this ticket holder. And I realized that was it. So I think a lot of people, when they first get out of college, they think about what they want to do. They think. Take that internship. Just start doing, start trying, start experimenting. And the faster you experiment, the faster you'll learn what's best for you. And that's what I learned at a young age. It's helped me with everything we do now.
Love it. I'm a doer myself. I couldn't agree with that anymore. And I think one of the things I consider myself fortunate in my coaching career up to this point is I've been allowed to actually fail. I've really been allowed to fail. And it's something every time one of my former athletes or somebody new to the coaching game who's looking to get into it comes to me and asks, hey, what do I need to be trying to do? And I said, you actually need to be open to the idea of failing. You need to give some things a try that maybe no one's ever told you to do it that way, but something inside of you is saying, hey, I want to give this a try. I want to do this specific way. Only way I have of actually finding out whether or not it could work long-term is by giving it a go.
And you hear about that from everyone. I mean, Henry Ford's first 2 businesses failed. Steve Jobs got let go from Apple. No one talks about the Amazon phone. All right, because it failed. All right, everyone but I wish we could reframe the word for failure though. I think it's such a negative word, and people see. I mean, think when you're a kid, you get an F on a report card, an F on your test. It's in red ink. It looks like the devil, like literally the devil just hit you with the worst news possible. And we're thought upon failure as this nasty, nasty thing. What if we change the word to discovery? What can you discover today? What are those things? Look at it, discovery. All right. And so we try to look at that. We don't look at what we failed at. We've had lots of things that didn't go well, but we discovered something because of it. And I think that makes it easier to handle the idea of failing.
That's a great point. And anyone listening to this interview so far, if you've not figured out that Jesse's a fairly eccentric personality, then you've not been paying attention. And the one thing that I'm immediately curious about here is that you've talked about you, the baseball player, and obviously where you are today. What version of where you are today, this personality that is there for everyone to see, what version of this was maybe evident when you were a baseball player? Because you said yourself, you're a pitcher. You had to be stoic at times. You had to be composed at times. Was there any opportunity for this version of Jesse to actually come to the forefront?
If I could go back, I would have actually played baseball a much different way. And I love my dad more than anything. My dad raised me. My parents got divorced. My dad did everything for me. He actually bought a baseball facility up in Massachusetts so I could play year round. I mean, he was all in. But I remember when I was 12 years old and we had the dream to go to the Little League World Series, this little small town, my dad actually put on the back of our t-shirts, Williamsport team, because he convinced us that we were going to Williamsport. We believed it. So we started winning games, down 6-0 in the last inning. We'd score 9 runs. We kept winning. We started getting interviewed by the news, this little team going this far. Right. And my dad said, Jesse, make sure you always act like you've done it before and always give credit to everyone else. And so I'd hit home runs. I was fortunate. I'd throw a no-hitter and I'd get interviewed. And it was like, the team played great defense. I wouldn't show there'd be no bat flips. There'd be no huge celebrations. I acted like a traditional baseball player.
Right.
As I look back at it now, I wish, and I try to teach our players, celebrate more, have more fun, be that big over the top, because you know what? It's moments like that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
Own them, enjoy them, and live them up. So I don't think I owned it as much as a kid. Now, I'm at the stadium. I'm doing selfies with fans. I'm pieing fans. I'm dancing with the fans. I'm passing out roses to little girls in the crowd. I'm a big part of the show. And I think I've become part of myself. I've amplified who I am. This yellow tux is my uniform. When I put this on, it's showtime. And so I know that I got to turn it up. And I think, all of us, I think that best version of yourself, the part of you where you lose track of time, where you're in the moment, where you're in the now, amplify that, where you're not caring what other people think. And I think to a degree, back when I was a kid, I maybe cared a little bit too much. And now I'm like, forget it. Let's have fun. Own the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a refreshing perspective in this day and age too. I think it's becoming less and less, sadly, it's becoming less and less common that people are really comfortable with who they are in the sense of the eccentric version of themselves. And I think, being around this 18 to 22-year-old demographic as I am in my job, I say it all the time, these girls will sometimes get shy and embarrassed when I see them having a private conversation that's clearly funny and humorous, but then suddenly I come along and they shut it down. It's like, no, keep being you. Yes. There's no reason to shut it down. Like and for me, I think going into whatever career people choose to go into, and we've talked about this on the show before, fairly recently actually, is understand that, you're going to have to adapt to environments and you're going to have to change things here and there. But at the heart and soul of what you're doing every day, you still got to be yourself, right?
Yes. And not the self that's hidden behind what people thinks.
Yeah.
I think, a lot of times I think ourself, we have two versions of ourselves. We have the version that we're trying to do things, what everyone else says. We're trying to fit in. We're trying to be professional. We're trying to do, the way we're supposed to act. Right. And then we have ourselves when no one's watching. And, the one that's, singing and dancing, the one that's in the shower that's singing, I think that is our best version. And so, I always say practice and play like no one's watching and just really, really enjoy it and live the moment. And so for us, we teach everyone on our staff, and we have a male cheerleading team. They're now known as the Dad Bod Cheerleading Squad. I mean, we have senior citizen dancing called the Bananas, breakdancing first base coach, a professional high fiver, a grandma coach. We have all these characters. And every day I say, guys, it's showtime. We're always on stage, but own it, enjoy it, and don't have any regrets. And I think people, when they look back, they're not going to regret the things they did do. They're going to regret the things they didn't do. And 100%. So why hold back? And that's what we try to do. And that's helped us be more successful because people are like, you know what? I can dance, I can sing, I can have fun at these games. I don't need to worry that if I'm looking like an idiot. It's okay to look like an idiot once in a while.
Totally. And it's an escape. My God, like for anyone who's coming from that, cubicle job, 9 to 5, you can go to a Savannah Bananas game and just have that escape. And that's awesome. And for me, stories like this with this organization, I always find it so impressive and inspiring that a culture can be molded in terms of the personality of who you are first and foremost, and how that rubs off on any and everyone that becomes connected with the company. How much work prior to, let's say, opening night, when you first did this for the first time, that cultural identity, how much work did you and your wife invest into the organization to make sure you guys were there for everybody to see?
Oh, we didn't have it right at all in the beginning. We're still not even close to having it right. So let's put it this way. The name of our company was the worst name ever when we first started. It was like this bad law firm or accounting office. It was called Team Cole and Associates. What a terrible name. All right. Who are the associates? I don't even know what that means.
Right.
It wasn't until we'd had intentionality with what the name of our company is, who we are, and what we stand for. We named the company. People all say Savannah Bananas, Savannah Bananas. Well, the name of our company is Fans First Entertainment. Our mission is fans first, entertain always. Every decision we make, we ask ourselves, is it fans first? And that clarity has guided everything we've done. And here's the internal thing, that if you ask anyone on our team, we ask who are our biggest fans, they'll look at each other and say, us. And so we're actually focusing on loving our employees, our teammates, even more than our customers, and certainly loving our customers more than we love our product. And so when you make every decision for your fans, your customers, and make every decision for your hopefully biggest fans, the people that work with your company, it's very clear on the decisions, it's very clear on the purpose, and it's very clear on everything that drives us to be successful. That has been the key. And that's taken many years to learn. I mean, we let our staff dictate their own salary one year, which was crazy. I mean, we've surprised them with that was a 1-year experiment. They wanted huge raises, and it was we've surprised them with cruises and special trips and Rain One of the World Series. We've done all that stuff because we want to treat them like they have memories they'll never forget. And that's part of just testing, experimenting, and does it really make an impact? And we've learned it does.
Yeah, that's special. It really is. That ability within a business to prioritize those that work within it first, and then the people that are most affected by it in the customers. I think it's not easy. It's not easy because there's always this discussion with profit margins and all these sort of discussions that come into a day-to-day running of an organization. And it's easy to slowly let that stuff disappear. And it's clear that this is a ever-evolving, ever-growing entity that you're producing right now. And with regards to, and you touched on it before, the competitor that you are and the competitor that you've always identified with, how would you say you're going to be defining, or let's say, how have you defined success up until this point?
It's a great question. I think there's a definition of personal success and a definition of your team or company success. For me, I've always looked at success as freedom and fulfillment. The ability to do the things that I want that give me joy and purpose with people that I want to be around, and that freedom and fulfillment. I think people that aren't successful often are chained to their responsibilities in their job and their life. And I've been fortunate not to have that. As far as the team success, we don't do surveys. We don't do, any type of, reviews other than they have on Google and stuff. Our success is the simple emails that we get from people. Our success is being at the gate, myself, our entire team, after every game. All the players were at the gate. Our characters were playing music. The pep band's out there. Free s'mores. We're dancing. And seeing people literally laughing, dancing, singing, whether you're 2 years old or 80 years old. And they are dancing and having fun. And success to me is seeing this past season during COVID, where we played in front of more fans than any team in the country with 0 positive cases. We found a way, because that's how we compete. We know it was most fans' first decision was to bring joy to people. When a gentleman comes up to me on the second game of the year in July, and he says, "Man, thank you so much." And I say, "Oh, thank you." He goes, No, you have no idea." I go, "What?" He goes, "My wife and I came here 2 years ago on vacation. We got tickets from a scalper. We came to the game. We had so much fun. When we found that you were playing, we and our 3 kids drove from Utah 40 hours to come to this game. We're driving back tomorrow. It was the best investment we could have made. Thank you." And when that happened, I'm like, That's crazy, sir. You're a lunatic, and I love it. But when moments like that happen, which happened pretty regularly, people were driving from all over the country. And even a season ticket holder at the last game of the year, he had a tear come down his face. And he goes, "You guys saved my life." And I'm like, whoa, thank you. He goes, "No, I was going through a very tough mental time. And this ballpark, the Bananas, gave me something to look forward to every other night this summer. You guys did that for me." I'm like, "No, man, we appreciate you." But the reality is we share those stories over and over and over again. How can you not have purpose? How can you not realize that if you're asking about success, that to us has nothing to do with dollar signs, revenue, profit, any of those numbers. It has the impact and the emotional connection that we build with people. It's that to us is success.
That's special. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps listening to you talk, man. I mean, and that's for me is, it was one of my questions. It was one of my, I was very interested to kind of hear how you've adapted and been able to overcome the adversity of this year, which is as difficult as a year as probably either you or I have experienced in our lifetime on a global standpoint. And I think with that in mind, it just shows that culture can actually, if it's solid enough, if it's clear enough, a culture can actually come through just about anything. And that's what you've proven with what you've done here this year. Hearing that you've still been able to do this, hearing that people are covering miles upon miles over days and days to be a part of this. And again, using that word escape, clearly that's what it is. I mean, this has been an escape for people during a time when they've truly, truly needed it. And how did you at first handle the news and the situation of this COVID situation? Was it just a matter of, I don't care, we're going to find a way to overcome this and get through it? Or was it, just sort of talk me through that process of overcoming this whole situation and coming out of it with a positive review for the year?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me, I'm on January 15th, 2016 at 4:45 p.m., where my wife and I got a phone call. We were at my best friend's wedding up in New Jersey. And I'll never forget, I answered the phone. It was one of our teammates, one of our employees. And he said, "Hey, we just overdrafted our account. We're completely out of money." And that was 4 months into it. We just took over this brand new team. We went from zero debt to $1.8 million in debt. We just got married.
Wow.
And we looked at each other and we're getting ready to go to my college roommate's wedding. So we're like dancing at the wedding. We're like, what are we gonna do? Like, this has got to be crazy. And we drove home and she said, "Jesse, we just have to sell our house. It's okay. We'll find a way. We believe in what we're doing." And we built our dream house in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, it was perfect. We sold it. We emptied our savings account. We went down. We got an airbed, and we said we're going to make this happen. And in March 12th, when the pandemic was announced, my birthday was on March 13th, and we shut down the office. And we went from selling out every game, revenue coming in, building, growing our team, to zero revenue, zero.
Yeah.
We went very clear. And I think the same thing is, hey guys, we're going to find a way, but let's stick to who we are, what we stand for. We said, all right, our mission is fans first, entertain always. What a better time to do that now than ever. I go, we had a talk. I go, guys, what's going to happen? You're going to remember this moment. I go, we are going to play this summer and we're going to play in front of fans. We don't know how we're going to do it now, but we are. And we're not going to have one person sing the national anthem. Every single person in this stadium is going to sing the national anthem, including our staff, our players, and our fans. And you're going to look around and say, wow, I'm so proud to be a part of this moment. I go, we are going to work towards that. In the meantime, we are all entertainers. We're going to start filming ourselves. We're going to do Facebook Lives. We're going to do cooking with bananas. We're going to do music videos. We're going to do coloring books for kids. We went on an entertaining spree, and we did a lot of music videos that were ridiculous, that were silly. We entertained like crazy for the next few months. But when we made the decision that we were going to play, we did the press conference, and the media was like, sure, you're going to play, sure. But we knew we were going to do it. And we set that date and said, July 1, half capacity, we're going to do it. And I told the team again, just remember the national anthem. It's going to happen. And we painted the picture, and it happened. And we have video of all the fans and the players singing the national anthem, and it's a moment I'll never forget.
Absolutely. And it's, the service remained the same. The service remained the same, but you expanded the brand during that time. And I think that's special.
You test the boundaries. You can start experimenting more. I mean, we launched a streaming service where we had drones during games. which I'll never forget the first time the umpires run off the field. They're like, there's drones. Are we being attacked? No, we're not being attacked.
This is planned.
They're like, there can't be drones. There's no rule for this. I go, well, let's make up a rule. And
Right.
they were like, so we did that. Then we started having fans vote in the middle of the game who should pitch in the end of the game. We started miking up every player. We started testing rules. And if you want to say failure, I'll say with discovery, we discovered in the beginning, we were terrible at it. Our audio, you could barely hear, it was like players like coming through was bad. But by the second broadcast, it was better. By the third broadcast, it was better. By the 10th broadcast, we were doing things that some of the big broadcasts had never done because we were willing to experiment and try things.
Yeah.
We never would have done that if it wasn't for the limitations that we had. And I think we need to lean into the limitations. If we want to be a competitor, you want to call yourself a competitor, you look for every limitation. You find a problem and you fall in love with that problem and you own that problem until you solve it. And that's how we compete. We compete to create the best fan experience. We compete for our customers, our fans, and our people. That makes it very clear. What a great time to compete.
Right.
And we didn't have to rest on our laurels anymore. There was no point. It's like, we're going all out. And that fired us up. And that gave us a challenge that we never had before, which was really exciting.
That is exciting. It is exciting. And, you know, just, I want to just finish up here with just you, the entrepreneur, because this is what it's all about. Everything that you're talking about here for me comes back to this entrepreneurial spirit. And I consider myself to be entrepreneurial at heart as well. Even in my job, even though it's a job that I work for an institution, the way in which I do that job remains entrepreneurial in spirit. I find ways to create it and make it my own. And this podcast certainly is me sort of dipping my toes in that as well a little bit. For someone who, you know, having given that story of how you and your wife just went all in, got rid of everything. Clearly you went with the all or nothing approach. How would you advise someone with that entrepreneurial mindset, or someone who's either just starting out or thinking about starting out? How do you know? How do you know when the right time is to go all in as you did? What was that big sign, if any, for you that, hey, this is what we got to do. This is my purpose. This is why we're doing it.
Loaded question, but I love it. I'll do my best here. It starts with small bets.
Yeah.
You know, it starts with small bets. For 10 years with our little team in Gastonia, North Carolina, we tested grandma beauty pageants. We tested flatulence fun nights. We tested salute to underwear nights. We tested the world's largest pillow fight. We tested dancing players. We tested all of this. And we saw that the response was pretty favorable. Now, we never went all in like we did in Savannah, but when you test something and you see, we started to believe in it. And I think so many people say, I got to see it to believe in it. No, you got to believe it to see it. We had to believe in it first to be able to really see it. And we believed in it by seeing these small bets work over and over and over again. And so what I question any entrepreneur is, hey, you got this big vision, love it. Can you test it in a smaller way at first? Can you do some small bets to test it and see, do people actually want this? But the reality is you don't know anything until you ship it to your customers. It's a great lesson I learned from Seth Godin. You know, always ship, always ship. You know, you can think you have the best product in the world. Well, put it out, put a minimum viable product out that is saying the MVP and see if it works. You might have the best style of swimming that you believe. You've been studying the science. You've been watching this. Well, let's test it in the pool. Let's see, does it actually work? Instead of saying, all right, the biggest meet of the year, let's do this.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think for us, it sounds like, oh, you went all in. We did, but we had a lot of belief before it. And I don't think we questioned that belief at all, even when we were down to our last dollar.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was really getting at was the what was that process like, I suppose, going into that big decision? Because obviously it wasn't just a matter of, hey, we're at a wedding, hey, you know, this is what we're doing, and it wasn't as simple as that. There was always going to be more to it than that. And I think more than anything, what I hear there is just obviously have that belief in what you want to do, have a great plan in place, but then have the willingness just to give it a go, even on a small scale. Yeah.
Then you eventually got to burn the boats. I mean, we went from zero debt to $1.8 million in debt. We weren't going to get out of debt by doing the same thing as everyone else. We weren't going to get out of debt by marketing like everyone else, selling like everyone else. We had to do something dramatically different to get out of that. So sometimes when you take that risk, it forces you. It holds accountability. I'll tell you something that we just did, and I wish every sports team in the country would do it, and every athlete would do it. Put out a vision and put it out publicly of what you are going to do in the next 5 years. We publicly put out a vision of how we are going to become a 24/7, 365 brand, what we are going to do to play year round, which no one else is doing, no off season, how we're going to take the show on the road. We put that out there. And within 3 months, we already booked our first city. We already have a wait list for 1,000 tickets in that one city. We already played a game in November to a sold out crowd, which we failed or discovered a lot of things in a huge way there. But we already did it because we put it out. We held it accountable. If you look at any sports team, they say, all right, let's do a little better next year. Hopefully we sell a few more tickets. Or an athlete, I hope I do this, whatever. Where are you going in the next 3 to 5 years? Hold yourself accountable. And even if you don't get there, I bet you'll get a lot closer by putting yourself accountable, and people will want to help you get there. Mm-hmm. That was one of the best things we did, is that vision. And I challenge anyone to put it out there and see what happens.
100%. And for anybody that's hearing this interview and thinking, hey, I want to follow them. I want to follow them on this journey for the next 5 years. Jesse, tell everybody where they can learn more about yourselves.
Yes. If you search Savannah Bananas, you'll find us. There's a short little documentary about us, the Banana Story, that really shares the story and what we're doing. It's a lot of fun to watch. And then, on our website, on our About Us, you'll see our vision. You'll see exactly where we're going, our vision, commandments, what we're planning on doing. And feel free to hold us accountable. If we haven't done something that next year, if you don't see the speakeasy, going, or the Airbnb or the treehouse or the brewery or any of that starting to come into play, call me out on it, because we're going to make it happen, because we're holding ourselves accountable.
I love it. I definitely recommend watching that short documentary. It's a fun watch for sure. And Jesse, honestly, your energy is infectious. I'm at home right now with 2 children, one who's 3 months and one who's 18 months. I work on caffeine every single day. I try to get my energy levels up. Talking to you, man, this is probably as high my energy levels have been all day. So I appreciate that. And hopefully anybody listening has certainly picked up on some of that energy as well and is feeling invigorated by the opportunities to better themselves, become more competitive. And Jesse, I just thank you so much for your time, and best of luck. I don't think you need it. You guys are crushing it. So best of luck with everything anyway.
Thank you so much. And your kids are going to love the energy. Bring it to them. They're going to love it. You'll have some good playtime with them. And thank you. I think when you're talking to good people that are curious, they're asking great questions, it builds energy. And so I hope everyone has some energy after listening to this and can do some amazing things.
Awesome.